So these, I don't know, I'm probably, maybe I'll skip over a little bit. Just going to write a B56, it's your class. The goals of this, be able to apply the relative dating principles to put rocks in order. And then there's absolute dating that we're going to do after that. If you flip through this packet to there, it's the second sheet of paper. We'll probably do more practice in between now and then, but this is where there's going to be a little bit of math. This is where we'll figure out the exact age of rocks. And there's going to be some graphing to do. If you're not good at math, though, I'll help you out. It's going to be okay. You'll be able to do this. There's nothing really complicated. And then there are also some terms like atom, element. There's a little bit of chemistry we're going to be doing in here. This stuff, I think I'm going to skip over because I mentioned some of it in the warm-up, and I can come back to it. These are some principles we're going to be using. So I've got some hints. As you're trying to solve these little puzzles, which the purpose of this puzzle is to put everything in order, ask yourself these questions. First, which one reaches the highest? So if these, I'll draw a house on top for reference. There's the surface of the earth. If these are all layers down here, where are the oldest ones going to be? The bottom. So the one that reaches the highest would be the youngest. And instead of, I think it probably used to say which layer is lowest, which layer is highest. Some of these layers do kind of funny things. This isn't even a layer. Can anybody guess what would make rock go through like this? What could this be? It could, yeah, if it's water, but it's, so you could potentially get water making passages through here, but it's something else, some other liquid that's not water. Lava. So these would be lava tubes. This would be like where you have a convergent boundary subduction, and then this is stuff melting through the Earth's crust going up to the surface. But it's not getting all the way to the surface because, well, there could be a lot of reasons for that. You could have a glacier that could come by and scrape it off. A lot of things could happen. But to make a long story short, there are these horizontal layers of rocks, and then there are these other kinds of hardened magma, which is a rock too. We're skipping over the rock cycle. We're going to come back to it. But have you ever heard of metamorphic igneous sedimentary rocks? So these are mostly probably sedimentary rocks, layers of sediment. And does anybody know the name for the kind of rock that's, you melt it and then you cool it? That's igneous. So lava that cools off forms igneous rocks. So we've got some igneous rocks going through there that burn their way through, and then we've got sedimentary rocks. Okay, so this is one question to ask. That would be the first one I would ask. And then the second is which layer cuts through the other layer? Because if you have something that cuts through something else, you know the thing that got cut through is older. And then the last one is there was an earthquake here. Do you see the fault made by the earthquake? So a fault by an earthquake is just a big crack. Tell me when I get to that crack. Right there. So if you look at this big wedge here and this big wedge here, if I take the one down and to the right and I want to shift it to make them match up, I have to shift it this way. So you can see layer B right there matches up with B here. It used to be down there. So at some point there was an earthquake and this went like that. Or maybe this part went down. But anyways, they got broken. But D didn't get broken. So I don't want to spoil it for you. See if you can take all the letters A, B, C, D, E, and F and put them in order here. The oldest, next oldest, next oldest, next oldest, and then the youngest right there. Work in whatever kind of pattern you want. I'm going to freeze this and figure out what the answers are myself. And a useful thing to do would be to put the Put the earthquake in there too, in your list. Whoop. Kind of spoiled it. I shouldn't have done that. And I'm going to come around and see how this is looking. Start. Two of them are switched, unless I could be wrong. Just start. Wait, no, hold. Oh, this is really confusing, isn't it? It says oldest, youngest. So I don't know why this reformatted itself. I took an old Word document and I made a new one out of it. This word youngest should be over here. So the oldest over here, the youngest over there. Things reformat themselves, and you got to watch them when you say the opposite. Got to go back and look at what my answers were. This one's out of place. You got E in it. That's it.
I got it, Jason. You got it? All right.
That would chip something else.
How about now?
Transform?
How do you want me to write slowly?
Yep. Put the earthquake in
Can't with you.
there. We'll just put it in.
I just drew a line between where it was.
These two are out of place. C is out of place. Well, and yours is backward also.
I know, I wrote that.
Okay. Yeah, but don't go yet. I want to go over this first. I should have. That's a long break in the video. So here, if you know the answer, don't spoil it for anybody. Some people like to start at the top. I think the top's probably the easiest place here, but I always like to start at the bottom. So I'm going to keep asking myself question number 1, going from the bottom until I need to switch to a new question. So if I go to the bottom and I look at how high the layers reach, so I've got A and E and D. All those are right at the bottom. D goes to the bottom here, E goes to the bottom here, A goes to the bottom. So they could all be really old. But if I look at the top of each of them, here's the top of A, and here's the top of A. And D goes all the way up to there. E goes all the way up to there. So the one that reaches the least high of those three would be what? A. So A is the oldest thing here. It's the lowest thing in the picture. So now I'm going to go up beyond A, and I get to B. So here's the top of B, and here's the top of B, and D goes all the way up to there, and E goes all the way up to there. So B's the next one. Now it gets kind of tricky, because if I go up from A to B to C, if I look at the top of C, and I look at the top of E, and I look at the top of D, which of those three reaches the highest? Yeah, none of them or all of them. So this question, this doesn't really help me. I've got to do something else. I've got to look at which one's cut. So of these three, I've got C, E, and D, and I need to figure out which one's the oldest of the three. Which one, is there one that gets cut by the other two? Which one gets cut by the other two? Does E get cut?
C.
Yes, C is the one that gets cut. E cuts through it, D cuts through it, so C had to be there first. And then, so again, I go back to my first question. Which one reaches the highest? C reaches up to here, E reaches up to there, D reaches up to there. So I've got to figure out which is older, E or D. D doesn't cut through E and E doesn't cut through D. They don't touch each other. So now I'm going to go to the third question. Which one of these was broken by the earthquake, D or E? E. So which one came after the earthquake? D did. If it had come before the earthquake, it would be broken. So the correct order is E is the older one, then the earthquake came along, and then D. So it's like this, then D, and the quake would be there. Go back to here now. This was my mess up that I don't know why. I was trying to make marks everywhere so you couldn't tell which mark was the real one. So it would be a good idea just when you're doing these to, later on you'll need this, to make a note of where the earthquake occurred. Oh, and then I spoiled the last one. F is the newest one. So F is above everything. So F reaches higher than everything else. So what probably happened is a long time ago there was some big flood and it laid down a bunch of sediment like layer B. And then there was another flood or maybe a volcanic eruption and it laid down B on top of it. And then there was another big flood or something and it laid down layer C on top of that. And then there was a volcano or some lava that came through A and B and C, and it was like this tube E that went all the way up to there. And then there was an earthquake that went like that and broke them all. And then some more lava came through and passed through everything. And then all that lava, whatever it was up on top, if there was a volcano, it got scraped away by a glacier. And then there was a big flood again, and we got a new layer of sediment. So those are the layers of all the things there. Okay, so now a trickier one. So just to get the lay of the land here, this is the surface right here. That's where somebody's standing. And this one has some, it's got fossils in it. And I'll tell you what the fossils are about later on. But for now, you can just ignore all the fossils down in things. How many different lava tubes are there here? So, yeah, you can see 5 distinct places, but E, this is really the same one. It just got cut at some point. It got broken. So this used to continue up, but the top of it's now there. So 5 of these are lava. The other ones, I'm going to use a term that some of you have heard. Remember metamorphic rock?
Yep.
So metamorphic is what happens if you take sedimentary rock or igneous and you squish it. So all these layers that are squiggly looking, those are metamorphic. Those have been squished. But that shouldn't really change your answers. I guess I'll let the video run. Whoever's watching this, it'll be really boring. Actually, whoever's watching this, they're going to see the answer right now. So they should pause. I'm figuring out the order myself. Oldest on the left, newest on the right.
Are you recording a video live stream?
Yeah, but it's unlisted, so you can't see it. Ah, I'm writing it in the wrong place. I'll come around and